Hello, my name is Deila Ray. I am this year's chair for the Tradeswomen Committee. Thank you all for being here. February is National Check Month. And so I know with my experience in industry as a tradeswoman, sometimes you don't really take the time for yourself. And then as a woman in general, we usually have others we're taking care of. And we put ourselves on the back burner. So I thought this was a great time and place for a reminder for all of us to consider the well-being of ourselves. So I'm going to do some screen sharing. We'll do some introduction here as well in just a moment with myself and Crystal, who is our co-chair. All right, let's see here. If I can get this to go right. All right. So I'll do full screen. All right. Everybody can see my screen, hopefully. All right. So as I said just a moment ago, the National Tradeswomen Committee is proudly presenting National Self-Check Month. This is in alignment with selfcheck.org. What I plan to do today is share their information and show you how to navigate their website with their resources and tools for things that you can do for yourself for the personal self-care and different checks that we should be doing for ourselves as well at home and with our doctors. So thank you for registering for today's webinar with Crystal and I. With February being National Self-Check Month, please understand that I am not a medical professional. As I mentioned, I'm only sharing the information from selfcheck.org. Hopefully this is a website that you will utilize in the future for anything that you may have concerns with or just doing your self-check in general. So for our speakers today, it's just a committee representation here with myself and Crystal. As I said before, I'm Deila Ray, the Tradeswomen Committee Chair. I'm also Central Missouri Chapter 341 President. By trade, I'm a pipe welder. For over a decade, I traveled as a combo pipe welder, and I'm in my current year 3 as a welding instructor. My co-chair, the amazing Crystal, she is in travel right now, so she's on the road driving. So she's a road warrior, as I called her a moment ago. But Crystal, are you here with us?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for any background noise. As Deanna said, I am driving. I am here from Chapter 177 out of Lansing, Michigan, Vice President of our chapter there. And I am a heavy equipment operator. I have been for the last 14 years. I run dozer and excavator and all the dirt equipment and work as an instructor at our training facility now, teaching a lot of health and safety classes. I've been doing that for about 6 years now.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. I love seeing the passion for your trade turn into an educational side of things too. I've come to really have a passion for the teaching. So, and then furthermore, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, just a reminder, we typically host our webinars for the first Thursday of every month around 4:30 Central Time. Just for a reminder there. So with February being National Self-Check Month, it is the time of the year in which it's a time for awareness and a reminder for the importance of early detection and prevention of chronic diseases. So this is just a way that it's the time of year in which you should consider those checks, right? It's sometimes easier to place it in a month. So the content in which is on their website, on the selfcheck.org website, is kind of how I'm going to navigate you today as well, with the links and whatnot attached to this wonderful slide. So early disease detection and prevention. Self-check is a means to increase our odds of avoiding chronic disease and other often preventable conditions. With early detection, it's key to successful treatment with most things. I know they also mentioned that even with early detection, that doesn't mean treatment is always successful. So kind of a thing to share with that. Reminders for early detection, you're finding it before something serious. So Take the time because time is of the essence. We only have one life, right? Some self-checks and prevention, that's basically finding some healthy habits. I know as I've gotten older, my habits have changed. I used to be way more of a gym person, and that's changed for me. And I try to, incorporate more activity, especially since I'm not directly in the field anymore. So just allow self-check, and perhaps now the month of February, if you didn't know, the month of February was National Self-Check Month. Allow this time to be a month in which you are doing those checks. With doctor checks as well, if you are one that shies away from the doctor, most people, don't want to know it or don't want to hear about it and put things off. So keep in mind that these self-checks also include doctor checks and getting that professional standpoint and assistance with your health. If not for you, then do it for the people that care about you, right? So integrating regular health screenings, having that balanced diet and exercise, and managing your stress. I know with the hours that I've worked in industry, now just my career in general being different, stress can come and go in different ways. So I find that being one of the more important ones for me to manage. So I have a link here that's going to take us to selfcheck.org. You guys, it's a pretty extensive website. They have awesome information here. So if you haven't heard of them, check it out. Things you can do for early self-detection. Like I mentioned, these were some of the things that we're going to go over. Healthy habits, the things that they say that we should do less of or do more of, right? Tools, we can do reminders for things, some risk factors you can find out about. So I'm not going to fully navigate this website with you. I just want to highlight some important things just for you to see what is available. So I'll get back into here. One of the important topics here is cancer. And this is a quick shot from the National Foundation for Cancer Research. Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide. And it's about 40.5% of men and women being diagnosed at some point in their lifetime. That's 5,480 cases per day. So take care of yourself, right? Watch for things. As women, breast cancer, as well as other chronic diseases with cancer, seem to be some of the top ones. I know Crystal and I both try to have someone to share testimonial here with us today. I had a woman who her mom, her grandma, and her aunt all have had breast cancer, and two of them have passed. She has the BRCA gene, and she actually chose to go the route of a double mastectomy even before any kind of detection, right? So she was going the high risk route of prevention. And everyone's different in their choices, your risk factors, your history, your path, all of that. But just some quick reminders for us to do monthly self-checks. Those obvious reminders of eating healthy and exercising, getting enough sleep, avoiding exposure to carcinogens, different things like that. This is another link that I have with the slide here to show, if I can get it to pull up. Maybe I'm clicking it too soon. Let's see. Here, I'll get it to pull up this way, dang it. All right. So there are actually two videos here. One, dare I say, is more graphic. It just shows women's breast. And then there's also this video here. And I actually found it rather informative. And so it's only a 2-minute video. And as a woman, doing our self-checks for our breast cancer possibilities is really important. So I do want to share this video with you all. Like I said, just 2 minutes, but it's got great information. All right. So, to this one, oh, I did skip something here just to add in. Beyond Breast Cancer, selfcheck.org also provides information about many other types of cancer. They also include, like I showed you for that quick little slide on their main page, their risk factors, age guidelines, signs and symptoms, as well as how to reduce your risks. So, if you're questioning any of these things, please use the site and look further into it. It has some great guidelines and resources. The next one that they discuss on self-check is heart disease, which is the #1 killer of men and women in America. There's not really many ways that you can do a self-check for heart disease, but this is where that personal self-care really comes into play. So, having that healthy diet, exercising, not smoking, the things that you are oftentimes hearing from doctors when it comes to the things that you have the control over, right? So, going into the selfcheck.org website, uh, just showing, ways for reducing the risks of your heart disease and things like that. Please check it out for more detail if need be. The next topic that they do discuss on here is diabetes, which is a disease in which affects how the body uses the sugar. So when you check out their website, all of these items also can be found up here at the top of the page. And as you can see, it gets rather extensive into each of them. So for the diabetes, risk factors, symptoms, key diet changes, uh, reminders of different things, right? Like I said with the video with the breast exam, it had just some simple things that I was like, oh, okay. I didn't consider really laying like that, or I didn't consider how often I'm not doing it right now, right? So taking the time to read through something like this really actually puts in your mind the things that we don't keep in that forefront of the things that we should probably be doing. So hopefully this slide and going to this website is just being a helpful reminder for you to take the time to consider those things. So after diabetes, the next subject that they discuss here is obesity, which is characterized by an excess accumulation of body fat that poses a risk to health. It's typically defined by having a BMI or body mass index of 30 or higher. I've always found this one interesting with height and all that. I'm pretty sure I've been considered overweight most of my life according to a BMI calculator. So, if you've never calculated your BMI, you can use some of their tools in here and access it. And they also have information helping you to lose weight and the risks of weight gain. I know since I've not been traveling for work anymore, I've put more weight on. My lifestyle is much different. So that's been a category that I've been struggling with myself. So they talk about other things here, the success stories of others and breaking bad habits, which I'm sure I could list several that I have. I'm not one to journal, but they talk about how that's a very helpful thing when it comes to losing weight and keeping it off and things like that. Eating out was probably a thing I did pretty often when traveling, especially when I was living in a hotel. So just lifestyle differences. Things change over the years, that's for sure. All right, so uh, this slide, I wanted to leave time. Like I mentioned, Crystal and I had sought some individuals to see about sharing any stories, personal stories or things like that, if they were comfortable with it. But I told her, I said, you never know who is going to be in our audience and what they may have already experienced or are experiencing themselves. And if it is something that they do want to share, if not, please do not feel pressured. But just some questions maybe to get those thoughts going. Has early detection helped you in any way? Have you drastically changed your health habits? Or even what advice would you share to encourage others to do self checks or their doctor checks? And so, if anyone is interested in sharing, please definitely do so. We can unmute or anything
So,
like that for
Deila,
ways.
I
Yeah,
definitely don't mind sharing the experience of one of my all-time favorite female mentors.
yes.
I was hoping that we could get her on to join us, but like I said, I think she's off out west hunting and is completely unreachable when she does that. She goes off the grid. Um, but her very first females that I ever actually worked with in the field, and she took me under her wing and showed me the way. And during the first job that we ever worked on together, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And this woman is a powerhouse through and through, not to be messed with. She is a force to be reckoned with. And to see the stress that it induced on her, and knowing that she needed to still be able to support herself and fund all of this on her own, including her insurance, which is all completely tied to the amount of hours that you work. That struggle was incredible. Now, of course, she's a powerhouse, so she worked right through it and continued working, alongside that diagnosis until it got to the point of not being able to for the sake of treatments. But the treatments themselves took her out of work, limited her income. And then I love that you mentioned if you're not going to do things for yourself, do them for the people around you, because the amount of individuals that are affected by your choices, you can say it's my body, it's my choice, all you want, but the amount of people around you that you affect on a daily basis as a result of the choices that you make in your own health, even in your own decision to wear PPE, right? It is ultimately going to affect the loved ones that you come home to and put a lot of added burden on them as well. So keep that in mind. It is worth it to do those checks. If you're uncomfortable doing it, talk to your doctor about it. They're going to do it at your annual exams anyways. Make it so that you're at least getting it annually. And then if you ever have questions, go in and get it checked out. I've got family who has also had breast cancer. So I'm one that is a regular visit for mammograms. I've had the ultrasounds on different, we all have different tissue densities. That plays a role in it too. So get those things checked. I think that it's a really important aspect, and I appreciate you sharing all this information with us, Deila.
Thank you, Crystal. And I know, your friend's situation was something really heavy to go through. And, being a woman working in the field and, trying to balance your health as well as your work can kind of put that strain on your body and your mind and puts things out of sorts. So, she is definitely a tough woman. I can only imagine just from knowing that small bit about her. But you're absolutely right, Crystal, making sure that this is an important thing that we take time to do. It's necessary. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, whenever I started putting together my webinar lists and things like that for the committee this past year, the end of the summertime this past year, and I was looking into each month and important things to discuss and things that I wanted to share and why it was important to share from the tradeswoman perspective. And I got to February and, I'm looking through different things and I happened to come across the self-check month. And I was like, okay. And I looked further into it more and reading about it. You guys, I realized I don't take the time for those things as well as I should. I don't prioritize it. And since I've been looking into it, I have been changing things, just putting it into my mind and considering it and making it something that's important has already started to change my health habits, has already started to change my wellness and my lifestyles just by making myself aware of it and putting it in front of my eyes and reading it and taking the time to be here today and to hear this. So I really do hope that this is something that everyone can take something from, a little bit from, even if it's something you're going to share with a loved one. Share the selfcheck.org website with people, especially this month, and say it's National Self-Check Month. Do yourself a favor, do your family members a favor, and take the time. Uh, what else? Anyone else want to share anything? Allie, is that you?
Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah, there you are.
Sorry, I am also driving, so forgive the background noise. I wanted to share something. It's not necessarily related to cancer, but it is a women's health issue. I personally have a condition, and it is genetic, but I didn't find out until I had a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in your lung. And I found out I had this genetic disorder because I was taking birth control and smoking cigarettes. And that caused me to have not just one blood clot, but multiple blood clots in my lungs. And I'm just genetically predisposed, very much like breast cancer can be for others. But I just wanted to share my story because if you are having problems breathing, chest pain, and you take birth control and smoke cigarettes, it's probably not a heart attack. It could be a blood clot, which is even more serious. So I just wanted to share that because the birth control of course, birth control is something that affects every woman. So I just wanted to share that little bit with people. So if they know of anybody that has, issues with taking birth control or smoking cigarettes and taking birth control, that it's a bad recipe. That's all I wanted to share.
No, thank you for sharing that. I wasn't aware of that. I don't know that as a thing, and I have a girlfriend who constantly talks about having heart pains and things like that, and then gets checked. I wonder, I need to tell her to look into that. You know what I mean? You just sharing that, maybe something that's going to help a friend of mine, So thank you, Allie. Very good. Anyone else interested in wanting to share anything? You can also send stuff into the chat. Let's see if I can, I don't think I can get to the chat right now on my screen. But if you don't want to talk, you're welcome to share anything in the chat as well. I know as a tradeswoman, making the time for those things, it's priority based, right? You make the time for the things that you want to do in life. I know when I was working at a sugar refinery down in New Orleans, right outside of New Orleans in Araby, Louisiana, I'd work 10-hour days. After I'd get off of work, there was at least like a group of 7 or 8 of us. We would go to the gym, we'd work out for an hour. Monday through Friday, we'd be grabbing Subway on the way home. So I'd do a 6-inch sub, a wrap, or a salad, and go home to the campground where we had our camper, and do it all over again the next day. And it was one of the most routine lifestyles I had had. And you guys, I was in some of the best shape of my life then. But I made the time to do it even when I was working crazy hours. And so that's what it comes down to, putting it as a top priority. If it's important, then you're going to do it. Something that I heard recently, and it has like stuck to me like glue, is if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And I was like, whoa, okay, slow down. I get what you're saying. And it's like, I do need to take the time for those things, because if I'm not, who else is going to do it for me? Right. So I hope that's like a resounding message to all of you, and to anyone that may listen to this recording later, that if not for you, then for who? But you've got to put yourself first. And so the last slide I have here is that call to action. And I love the selfcheck.org's emu here saying, take your head out of the sand. Get your head out of the sand and stop thinking that it's never going to be you. I hope it isn't. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm simply saying that if you are not going to take care of yourself, no one else is going to do it for you. So use this as a call to action for yourself, for your loved ones, for that stubborn parent or sibling of yours or friend of yours that it's never going to happen to me. I'm fine. I don't like doctors. I'm not going. use this, help them, share things with them, be that source of information for them, because you never know if they might actually finally be listening and take your advice with it, right? And so I think I went through them slides probably pretty quickly as well. I can navigate the website a little more if anyone is interested in seeing any of the information here. But the floor is as well still open for any kind of sharing or testimonials. I know I wanted to also highlight the tools here. Uh, Family tree, some doctor visit questionnaires. I don't know about you guys, but now that I'm in education, I go to the doctor yearly because they require it for my insurance. Beforehand, I only went if it was like direly necessary. And so something that I thought was great, especially with this here for the doctor visit questionnaire, is, there's times I'm thinking about things, but then when I get to the doctor, I forget those particular items and I don't ask those questions, or I forget about certain things. There's different questionnaires of things that you can use to have to help you remember those, or just simply writing those things down before you go to the doctor can also help cover some ground on things that, may be hard to talk about and things like that. And so,
I've
if
got
there's,
something I'd like to touch on
yeah,
pertaining to the doctor's office, if you don't mind. Um,
absolutely.
Something that we take for granted as trades individuals is that our doctors treat us the same way that they treat the people that work at the grocery store, that work at the, um, well, we'll say the gym, the restaurant, all these other locations that are nowhere near as hazardous as what our industry is. And that's something that we really need to advocate for ourselves on when we go into those doctors' offices, is really making them understand just what it is that we have the potential to get into. There are medical alert cards that CPWR is a good one for a resource for that. So CPWR has these medical alerts where you print it out based on the trade that you work in. So any trade that you work in, you print it out and it runs through some of the bullet points on the potential hazards, whether we're going to be exposed to lead, whether we're going to be working with welding fumes, whether we're going to be exposed to silica dust or any other chemical or physical hazards. And you can take that right into your doctor's office with you to help them really gain an idea of what it is that they need to be watching for you. Because otherwise, they're treating you just the exact same as every single other person who is not exposed to those hazards. And we have a lot more at risk there that we need to be watching for. So that can be one thing that you can do to help yourself and help your doctor help you as you're moving forward through that journey of trying to improve yourself.
That's great, Crystal. I'd never heard of these CPW. You said they're CPW cards?
It's CPWR, the letters CPWR, and
Okay.
they're the National Resource Center is what they are. So they work a lot with doing all kinds of different surveys. They have ones that are women specific. They actually even have an alert card for pregnant women in the industry and things to watch out for, because that's always a hassle. I know when it was when I went through my 3 pregnancies was I go to the doctor, tell them this is what I'm doing for a living and can I work? And they're like, oh yeah, do whatever. Not realizing that, hey, I'm actually out here working at a nuclear facility carrying around 60-pound endless round slings. And yeah, this is what I do for a living. But at 8 months pregnant, it's putting a whole lot of strain on my body. And then I'm hopping in a forklift and going off-roading in this thing, hauling crane mats around. Like, it's a little bit different than telling somebody at a grocery store to, yeah, go about your work as you normally would. So they have notifications on that kind of stuff too, but they do a lot of surveys out there for trades women and men alike. A lot of great resources from them.
Excellent points on being an advocate. And, I never really considered specifying to a doctor the hazards of my trade or making sure that they even understand what I'm doing. You just go in and you're like, you're the doctor, tell me what I need to do, kind of thing, you know? So that's a great point. And the fact that there's a company out there that's doing these medical alert cards for trades with bullet points of the potential hazards that they're going to be facing in the field to take with them to where a doctor can hit those quick points or facts quick and maybe have a quicker, better understanding of what we're doing every day. You know, I've never really considered those big details to share with them, you know, think like I'm a welder. They understand what I'm doing. Maybe they don't. And so that's a great point. And the fact that this National Resource Center provides those, that's awesome. Thank you, Crystal. Great information for that. I'm gonna make sure to look that up because I would be very curious to see what they have with all of that. Anyone else?
I'll share something really quick.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be very healthy this far in life, but my grandma has multiple sclerosis and she just recently had breast cancer as well. She is now cancer free. She's about 70 now, and she's in amazing condition and I've gotten to see her my whole life be so proactive about her MS and taking care of herself. So I just wanted to know that's also such a big thing is to have, your elders taking care of themselves. I get to see that example. And also I get to have my grandma around longer. It affects so many things. So I just thought that was a good point is like you do it for yourself, but also think like you're going to really affect how other people view their health and also how long you get to be in their lives.
Wonderful. That's great. And the fact that you have such positive role models setting the stage for you to see the importance of that, like that's dreamy. And that's something that, you know, I'd hope for everyone. I know it's not always the case, but what a great like hand in life to say like this is what you need to make sure you're doing. Focus on these, pay attention to this. Go grandma, go all of that. That's wonderful. I do see, what do we got here?
Oh, shit.
Oh, they were just saying, oh, Tori jumped off. She's awesome. See, oh, and then our recording ended for, I don't know what this is. Oh, the note taker. Okay. I just saw another note in there. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing on any of the chats in there. And so the other items here, you know, are just success stories of why it's important, what these people did, and why having a self-check is important and keeping up with it. And so, you know, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and just click through a website and read it to you. I just really wanted to highlight all of the information that they have, all of the different things that they cover, all the different checks that you can do. And so, you know, if you guys don't have other questions, if you don't have any other testimonials to share, by all means, we can give you back about 24 more minutes of your evening this Thursday. But I know, let's see, March. So next month is WIC week. Most of you on here, there's several of you on here, you have hopefully gotten some correspondence about an upcoming webinar for our members. I'm looking to really highlight our tradeswomen and shine a spotlight on them here. I can also stop screen sharing at this point. Let's do that. There we are. So with March right around the corner, I've got some really cool things in the works for our tradeswomen and ways to celebrate them and just highlight you for the work that you're doing in industry and whatever industry that you're in. So it will be on the 6th, I believe is what it is. That's the first Thursday of the month, which aligns with our, yes, the 6th, what aligns with our typical schedule, as mentioned earlier, the first Thursday of every month mostly. Last month was a little different. You gotta love illnesses and all of that. So we had a back-to-back last week and now this week with today's webinar. So thank you for those that are attending both back-to-back ones as well. But if you are on this call as well and you're a tradeswoman and you haven't heard from me here recently about some upcoming WIC Week events and you're interested in participating, doing a day in the life of tradeswomen, a celebration of tradeswomen, and basically just highlighting who you are and the work that you do. So if you are here and you haven't gotten that and you're interested, please reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat for you real quick, and I will get that sent over to you. It does include some potential tradeswomen t-shirt swag. Just gonna throw that out there real quick for those inquisitive minds. But as
That
for
wasn't
that,
a bribe. That wasn't a bribe at all.
no. That's not what I was doing.
Okay.
Maybe it was. It fully was. I'll admit to it. I'll admit to it. I can't stop shouting from the rooftops about it. And there's a handful here, so maybe you get a little bit of the insider tip. How about this? If you think that was a bribe, listen to how cool this is. So I work in a career center, and there's a graphic arts department we have here. And the students have been hosting an in-house competition on t-shirt designs. And they have designed some really cool stuff following standards and branding guidelines as well. So doing it all the right way with it. But they put together some really cool stuff, hoping to get some things finalized on that in the very, very near future. And excited to share that with you all. And I guess to represent who the tradeswomen are and what we do. So yeah, I'm excited. If you guys have no plans, which you all probably are really booked up the WIC week this coming month. So if you don't have any plans on Thursday, make sure you tune in. Hopefully I will be highlighting several of you that are here as well, and just sharing about who you are and the work that you do. All right,
Thank
ladies.
you, Deila.
Yeah, thank you all. I appreciate you so much and
Thank you
look
so
forward to
much.
seeing you soon. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your evening.
Bye-bye.
Awesome job, Deila. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all.